One of the most commonly asked question is, how much deposit do I need to invest in property in Australia? Well, some people think, oh, I need minimum 20% deposit. That's not true. What if I tell you, smart investors use no cash at all from their pocket. Most investors, they use 8 to 10% from their pocket. Very few people, they use 20%. So it's different. So in this video, I'm going to cover what is the ideal deposit, what is the standard deposit, and how you buy investment property without putting any money from your pocket. And if you have lower than 20% deposit, how you can still avoid LMI. So this video is going to be very, very useful in depth. If you are looking to buy investment property in this year, stay till the end. So first of all, what is the standard deposit? Most people think 20% is the standard deposit to avoid LMI. Of course, if you have a 20% deposit, you don't have to pay LMI. Interest rate that you get on 80% loan, which is way better than 90% loan. In some banks, it is slightly lower, but in most of the banks, it is really, really good interest rate if you get a 20% deposit. Then you want to think, okay, how much repayment I can afford? How much cash flow I can afford? And that way you decide whether you have 20% deposit and you want to use 20% deposit, or you're happy with the lower amount of deposit. Now, one more thing you want to consider is, if you don't have a 20% deposit, do you really want to wait little longer to get 20% and then buy? Or you should buy now, pay LMI, but you secure the property? So that's a question you have to ask yourself. Now, ideal deposit is 8 to 10% or 12%. 8% you can get loan with including LMI, but it will be very high LMI. Interest rate will be higher as well. Not all the banks will want to lend you, because the total LVR including the LMI, total loan amount, will be at least 95% in this case if you have only 8% deposit. So the ideal deposit, if you don't want to use 20%, if you don't want to pay very, very high LMI, if you don't want to pay very high interest rate, then you can consider 12% deposit. That's a benchmark. Now, in some cases, it will be slightly less than 12%, some slightly higher than 12. But if you make your calculation, do your calculation based on the 12%, you will be on the safe side. So 12% deposit, if you add LMI, it will still be below 90% LVR. In this case, LMI will be lower and you get a good interest rate as well. Now, some people ask, Priyank, I don't want to pay 20% deposit, but I also want to avoid my LMI. Is there any way? Of course, there are banks in the market who can lend you with 85% LVR, no LMI. Some banks even give you 90% LVR for the investors, right? Not first home buyers, not owner occupier, investors as well. You can avoid LMI with 90% loan as well. That's why I always tell, property investment, wealth building is a team sport. You really need a really good mortgage broker, buyer's agent, and we have all those in-house people, right? And that's why when people come to you, we make a strategy. What do you want to achieve, short term, long term? Is there any way you can save a lot of money? Now, how smart investors buy investment property without using any money from the pocket? Of course, equity. If you already have an owner-occupier home or any other investment property and the value is gone up, then you can refinance, take the money out, and buy investment property. In this case, what some people do, smart investors do, is take as much money as they need, of course based on the borrowing capacity as well as the valuation, but take the 20% plus other cost. Let's say they want to buy a $600,000 investment property. 20% will be $120,000. Now stamp duty, solicitor fees, buyer's agent cost, everything, let's say another $40,000 or $50,000. So in this case, they will take the equity out as $170,000. This will cover all the cost and the 20% deposit as well. Now, they will get lower interest rate here because their refinance loan is still below 80% LVR. The new loan amount will be 80% LVR, so they will also get lower interest rate in that one. They don't have to pay LMI either. So, and in terms of the negative gearing benefit, they will maximize the benefit because they structure it in a different way. So, what I'm trying to suggest is, if you are serious about buying investment property, think about whether your goal is a short term, long term, whether you want to maximize your cash flow and negative gearing benefits, or what are you trying to achieve. It's not just buying one or two properties. So what's the right deposit for you? It is different for everybody. You want to think about your goal, like your goal is to buy only one or two properties, or you want to buy as many as possible. Do you want to buy in a short period, like within 1 year you want to buy 3 or 4 properties, or you're okay to spend it out like 2-3 years time, you buy one in each year. How do you want to do it? What sort of cash flow you can afford? And that's why when you work with us, we sit down, we assess your goal, and we try and find out the best possible solution in your case to maximize the borrowing capacity, to avoid unnecessary LMI cost, and also you get a good interest rate in your home loan. If you need any help, if you're thinking about buying investment property and you want to see how we can help you, please reach out to us. We are more than happy to help. Thank you so much for watching this video. This is Priyank Patel, buyer's agent. Thank you so much. See you next time.